Analysts are now saying that the world of cloud computing in general is growing much faster than anybody imagined, and is going to be way more disruptive and bigger than was expected. In fact, by the year 2020, the cloud computing market is going to be a $500 billion market. And of course, telecommunications is a subset within that. But I would submit to you that a much, much bigger piece of the pie, a much bigger piece of the technology spend for companies is in IT. And in that backdrop, I'm going to talk to you about our story and share with you what we're doing and hopefully get you excited about bringing in a new product into your portfolio. Before I do that, though, I want to show you a little video.
Today, we're moving just about everything to the cloud. Our music, pictures, documents, even our banking and passwords. That's because it's safer, more reliable, and because it fits our mobile lifestyle. But there's one thing that we haven't moved to the cloud yet: our workspace. Instead, we rely on clunky devices and unwieldy IT systems that are complex, vulnerable to attack, and, let's face it, really expensive to maintain. And that doesn't make sense, does it? I mean, if we live in the cloud, shouldn't we work in the cloud too? Welcome to the company that will take you to your personal workspace in the cloud. With our platform, you can move your business apps, desktops, or your entire IT infrastructure to the cloud, allowing your employees to access company servers and documents anytime from any device, which boosts their productivity and morale. But you can even upgrade your company's technology overnight through our growing library of business apps, where nearly 1,000 of the latest enterprise software applications are just a click away. And because our state-of-the-art cloud servers employ the latest and most advanced security features, your network will be safer, more secure, and more reliable than ever before. So stop pumping money into outdated IT. Move your company to the cloud and into the future. Sign up for a free demo today.
So first of all, again, I just want to talk a little bit about the market opportunity. It's massive. The workspace seeing rapid adoption in the 5 to 500 employee market. We're now moving into our fourth year in business, and every year we've grown over 100% from the previous year. The WAS market's projected to grow. Workspace as a service is kind of what everybody's calling it. It's expected to grow into almost a $5 billion market by 2020. It's a very logical extension of unified communications as a service, and is really the next big thing, as you'll see in this presentation, in the cloud services market. You know, I come from, and I spent 20 years in telecom, and I've seen the convergence of wireless and wireline, and internet and telecom, and what we're seeing is that there's going to be another convergence with IT and telecom, and that in many respects everybody that's in the telecom business is best positioned to begin to incorporate some of the products that some of the companies are selling on the IT side, and especially the workspaces we're going to show you. And then it's a great growth driver and enables an upsell to your installed base and existing channels. The very best prospects for this product that we're going to show you are companies that have already moved to the cloud and are using hosted communications. So the big challenge is, again, this parallel challenge to that people are facing with telephone systems. Companies don't want to buy and maintain and operate IT infrastructure anymore. It's just too expensive. It becomes obsolete quickly. It's not secure, and it lacks mobility. And however, what we found as we got into the business is that moving these IT systems, legacy IT systems, to the cloud is really expensive. It's time consuming, and as a result, a lot of companies are scared and are not willing, to absorb that expense, and therefore, to some extent, until this product, a lot of companies haven't yet moved to the cloud. So our solution is what we call the Itopia workspace. And I want to be clear and explain it in a way that you guys can totally understand it. Essentially, it moves the business workspace, the desktop itself, into a data center that's hosted and managed. So everything disappears from the company's premises. They no longer have servers, they no longer have software, storage, anything on their premises. It all moves to the data center. The good thing, though, is that it looks and functions exactly like your PC today. It's a Microsoft Office or Microsoft Windows operating system, and to the end user, it really is the same exact thing. It's just an icon on a desktop instead of just firing up their machine and getting their desktop.
So you can be loaded out of a thin client?
You can load it out of a thin client. You can load it. I have a MacBook Air. You can load it on a smartphone. You can load it on a tablet, a Chromebook. It's really device agnostic.
Android box?
Yeah, anything. Anything.
Citrix or is it Microsoft?
I'm sorry?
Is the thin client Citrix or Microsoft?
So no, when we started the company, we used Citrix. We've completely moved away from that, and we now use only Microsoft Remote Desktop.
Okay.
So it essentially comes with every single PC that someone buys out there. It's free, and we found that it really is the simple, easiest, and least expensive way to access your desktop in the cloud. Okay? There's no installation required. Today we have over 1,500 business applications now. We had 1,000 when we did the video, but we now have 15. Every day, every week, we're getting more and more applications that are certified on our platform that our technicians have experience with. So when you look at all the vertical markets that you sell into, financial services firms, insurance brokerage firms, asset managers, real estate, law, county, all of them have applications that are specific to their vertical markets. We have now installed the vast majority of them onto our platform, and they can be now accessed from the cloud, and it's much easier to install than it used to be.
So you're providing every client an RDP?
Every client has an RDP, correct. And at the beginning, we used to think, well, we're going to have to provide thin clients, but in fact, the vast majority of our end users are using their own devices. So we don't even play in that space. You don't even have to worry. There's no device to sell to anybody to get onto our platform.
They used to move into a tablet, and actually go to that.
Some people prefer tablets. Some people, want a Chromebook. It really is up to the customer, which is the best thing, the best of all worlds. At the end of the day, I'm sorry? Go ahead.
What happens if your internet goes down?
So, you're out. No.
You got 500 people sitting there going.
So here's the good thing. Here's the great thing. Number one, internet for the most part these days doesn't go down.
That's not true.
Okay. I can tell you this. We're selling a ton of this, and that is not the objection that we're seeing. There are other objections and other hurdles that we have to overcome, but for the most part, this day and age, I would submit to you that internet connectivity is ubiquitous, it's cheap, and people are connected online, and if they don't have their primary connection, they have a secondary connection, and it hasn't really been an issue in terms of getting to the sale. Now, having said that, like in my case, I have Microsoft Office installed on my Mac. I have Office for Mac. So I have, and many of our customers that have that objection, there's always a few in every company, usually senior executives or salespeople on the road, that want to have that redundancy, and you can simply install those applications locally if you really need them. So that's what we're seeing. At the end of the day, this is about helping small to medium-sized businesses realize the promise of cloud computing. What is really cloud computing all about? It's about three things. It's about savings, in our case, up to 40% versus on-premise IT. It's about enterprise-grade security because we can leverage the cost across a much wider base. Most cases today, most small to medium businesses are not utilizing best practices for their security. They will be with our solution, and it can be accessed on demand from anywhere and any device. Stop me if you have any questions. Our core product, very key thing here. You see the workspace in the middle, you see the customer in the middle on the bottom, and then these are the features that we bring to the table for the customer. It's about storage. So I know that the previous presenter talked about a backup storage solution. That goes away with the Itopia workspace because all of our workspaces are backed up regularly to not only into the same data center, but to a third site that is in a different physical location. That's part of the solution. Yes, sir.
What is the backend technology that you have deployed for your data center?
I'm going to show that to you in a minute. Okay? Compute, antivirus, backup, OS, monitoring, professional services. All of this is included in the basic workspace. And then we wrap it with our proprietary technology. It's called CLO, Discovery, Migration, Management. This is our end-to-end solution. There's nobody else in the market today that has it. We have 20 full-time software developers that are every single day coding and making our solution even more compelling than it is to our market. And it starts with discovery. The hardest thing about migrating a customer is understanding what they have on their current premises. You can ask 99 out of 100 people, even IT executives with companies, and they don't even know what everybody is using on their desktops. Our software goes out, it's like a spider, into their network behind the firewall and determines every single software application, appliance, network node, a version of the software, everything that they have, and it brings it back into our database so we know exactly what needs to be migrated over. Then it migrates it. It essentially replicates that environment in the cloud, and then moves it over and then provides a management console all through a single pane of glass. This is a brief slide that just shows you what I just talked about, the discovery, migration, cloud orchestration. This is the Google Cloud Platform. This is a little bit ahead of our roadmap, but we will be in the Google Cloud Platform by the end of the year. Today we're in a private data center in the Midwest, actually in a data center that has a company that has 8 data centers. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Competitive differentiation. There's a few companies in the market that are selling what we sell. There's Evolve IP, Rapid Scale, and everybody always asks me about Amazon, so we put that in there. But as you can see, Itopia is the only company really that provides the end-to-end solution that makes this really simple and easy to sell, to provision, and then to manage once your customers are in the platform. We have a rapid migration engine, part of our CLO tool, a cloud readiness assessment. We're the only ones in the market. There's something called Network Detective. Some people who are in IT know about it, but we've replicated that for the cloud, and it's a report. It's a sales tool that we provide to all of our sales people that are in the field, and it's using our discovery tool. It goes in and determines all the vulnerabilities, the weaknesses, and the lack of up-to-date software that's inside your client's networks, and then it comes back into a very, very nice report format that you can share with your prospect whether they're ready for the cloud, and it gives a rating between 1 and 100, and anything over, 50 means they're cloud ready. So it's a cloud readiness assessment. It's a really slick report, and it helps you sell at the end of the day, and then this can easily then be turned into a proposal that you present to your client, and it's also very automated.
Good question.
Yes, sir.
You're saying a lot of yes in that. Very familiar with all competitors that you're looking at, and also very familiar with the cost involved with it. Now, with all those yeses and all the stuff, what about price competitive? Talking about what you're looking at.
I'm going to talk about price right at the end, okay? But I can tell you that we're very price competitive. Yep. So just a couple things. These are some of our customers. The irony is that we're based here in South Florida, but most of our customers are nationwide. We now have over 200 channel partners throughout the country. We have a very big presence in the Northeast, a very big presence now on the West Coast, Texas, Midwest. I mean, we're really all over the country now, but we do not have as strong of a presence here in South Florida. We've just spent a lot of our energies in the Midwest. We have some very dedicated and committed partners there, and we're hoping that now that we're finally able to get in front of you all, that our South Florida presence is going to really be beefed up. Robert Half Legal is the largest staffing company in the world, New York Stock Exchange company, Fortune 500. They're a great referenceable account for us. One of our first customers. They have an e-discovery practice where they have attorneys all throughout the country that do due diligence on big cases. And they needed a desktop, a virtual desktop that was going to be locked down, highly secure, and one that they could easily manage and implement. And they chose ours after a long, exhaustive search, and they're a great referenceable account for us.
John, quick thing though, I mean, why would people choose Itopia service if they're in a typical environment where they have like 50 or 60 computers? I mean, this basically takes away from, like, there's no viruses anymore. I mean, give me some benefits?
So the basic benefit is that it really starts about price. You know, the company says, you know, and also when they have when they have old and out of date infrastructure and they're facing a refresh cycle. I mean, that's the first moment when you realize that might be a good fit here. Anybody that has, you know, old and outdated equipment, servers, software, maybe they have an event, you know, that triggers a need, virus, crypto lock, you know, some of these, you know, bad viruses, those kinds of things. This triggers, you know, that, you know, next thing. Hey, well, what am I doing here? And once they're thinking in that way, that's really when we come in and we say, well, listen, why don't we take everything that you have on-prem, move it to a cloud environment, reduce your expenses. In some cases, when you have an in-house IT department, many of our customers have been able to either downsize and in some cases eliminate their internal IT department, but it's really mostly about making that department more efficient, allowing them to focus on more things that help the business be more productive than eliminating it. But in some cases, downsizing that inside department.
And what about large companies with a lot of employees that also control what they're doing? I guess they control the information.
It's about control. It's about security. So when you move from you know, the prem into our solution, there's no data anymore that resides locally. So it's a much more inherently secure, you know, product than they're using today. So for example, I can't download customer lists or anything like that onto my laptop because my desktop now is in the cloud. So nothing resides locally. So if this device is lost or stolen, or you know, the employee is fired and won't give back the device or something, there's no vulnerability. It's a much more secure, inherently secure product. Does that answer your question? Okay.
John,
Yep.
if all the data and everything is it all in one location? Because Windstream, not too long ago, had an active job lightning strike and took out everything for about a week or two.
Right.
Will that happen?
No. So all of our data, I mentioned that earlier, all of our data is not only backed up locally into a complete mirror image system, but it's also backed up to a completely different data center, you know, hundreds of miles away in the Midwest. Okay? So every single night it's backed up.
So, do you have automatic failover? So if your data center goes down and I'm on my RDP, is my desktop automatically found over to one of
The answer is that it's available, but it's an extra cost and it's not inexpensive. It's not inexpensive. But your data is secure, which is what most companies are most concerned with.
So you said it's not inexpensive?
It's not inexpensive. If you want to,
Oh, it's not expensive.
if you want to have we call it a hot failover, it's a significant cost. It's doable, but it's a significant cost. Yeah, and what we have found is that when we show prospects what that will cost, they then say, no, I'm fine as long as my data is in a different site. And by the way, we have another product that if they want to have their, you know, we call them server huggers, and they're very uncomfortable with letting their, you know, doing everything in the cloud. They want to have a local version of all their data. We can also give them a server that they keep on their prem that we can download every night, all of their data.
Are the data centers yours or are they third party?
Third party. Okay, I'm going to talk about that in a second. Very briefly, this is our CLO suite, you know, IT automation platform. This is completely proprietary to Itopia. We have our discovery automation, migration and provisioning. We can spin up desktops in 10 minutes. So migrations, you know, are never going to be because, you know, of a delay on our side. There are sometimes some intricacies related to bringing over the data and installing and getting those applications up. But it's not going to be because we can't get their environment up. It's very, very quick. And then management and orchestration. Lots of different tools that we have for things that used to be completely manual that are now automated that we provide to the company and to their IT department to do themselves in many cases. Okay. Just briefly, this is some of the shots of our portal.
Is this white label?
We can absolutely white label it. We have an infinite amount of color schemes, You know, you can put your own logo on it. It's completely white labeled, so the company can make this theirs. Many of our customers do that, and it's very, very easy to do with our system. Okay? So basically, they'll have the same exact system that our internal people do to manage their environment with their logo, their color scheme, et cetera.
Is there necessarily around uptime?
Yeah, it's, what is our uptime? 99.95 uptime of the data center. The data center, what's that?
4.9.
4.9, so the data center.
The data center?
Yeah. I'm going to talk about the data center in just one more slide, okay?
Can a reseller white label it and manage it?
Absolutely. Many of ours do. Okay? Itopia support team, design and implementation. You know, Beth and her team handle all of these. You know, at the beginning it can seem daunting, but it's a lot easier than you might think with our system. System monitoring and maintenance, you know, 24/7, you know, 365 live support if you need that. Concierge technical support, dedicated account manager, everything that you need to support the environment. Security and regulatory compliance. So we work with a company in the Midwest, and I will tell you that's an evolution of the way we started the business. When we started the business, we had our own data center, in a Class 5 data center, our own equipment. But as we continued to develop our software platform and saw where the business was going, we realized that in order to really provide the level of service that we needed with all the compliancies that our clients needed, the SOX, the HIPAA, the PCI, everything, that we needed to really partner with a world-class data center operation, and that's what we did. It's a company called US Signal in the Midwest. They're based out of Michigan. They have 8 data centers, lots of redundancies, all of the compliancy. So any prospect that you have, whether it's healthcare, you know, financial services, anything, we can provide the documentation that they're going to need to show their auditors that, you know, they're hosting their environment in a top-tier data center.
What level of rate are you running on those SAMs?
I don't know. We can find that out for you, though. We'll make a note of that, okay? The level of rate.
Okay.
Go-to-market support, sales and executive workshops, a dedicated account team, product training, comprehensive product launch campaign. We have, you know, now in the 3.5 years that we've been in business, accumulated a vast library of materials, collateral, go-to-market, you know, pieces that you can easily incorporate into your offering. And the other thing is that we have a high-touch group that can not only go on appointments with you, since you all are here in South Florida, but we can provide you, you know, anything you need in the way of proposals and comparisons and anything that will help you make the sale. Okay? The cloud readiness assessment, I don't want to go into that too much more. I told you about it, but I can just tell you it's a very, very effective sales piece when you're going out there and you show the business owner the vulnerabilities that they have in their network today and what they're going to get when they deploy our solution. Company background. We have, I mentioned the US Signal and now Google relationship. We'll be doing some announcements around Google Cloud Platform at the end of the year that we're pretty excited about. My co-partner and co-founder is Ubaldo Don. Ubi, as we call him affectionately, is the product visionary, the architect of our system. And Scott Markley is based out of Philadelphia, and he's our SVP of sales. And Beth is part of his team. We have a great team that can help you make sales. Just a couple things about our investors and board members. Chris McFarland runs a company called Masergy. He's one of our key investors. They're out of Dallas. They're one of the largest private line providers in the world. David Hernandez runs a company called Liberty Power up here in Fort Lauderdale, about 15 minutes from here. Cheryl Hudson was the recent chairman of the board of Tico Energy out in Tampa. He's on the board of directors of Publix. So these are the kinds of people in general. We have others, but these are the kinds of people that have gotten behind the company, that love what we're doing. Most of them, are CEOs and entrepreneurs and people that know a great opportunity when they see it. So why Itopia? We're the only end-to-end platform and the leading cloud workspace provider in the market. About 2 weeks ago, the MSP Mentor just published a list. We now have more partners on the MSP Mentor 501 list than any other provider in the country. 99% retention rate. We've been very conscientious of this and very proud of the fact that we retain our customers. If you think UCaaS and hosted communications is sticky, you ain't seen anything yet. This is the stickiest product you will ever sell. We anticipate we'll have customers for 8 to 10 years, average lifetime. Automation for discovery, migrations, and management, a world-class go-to-market program and sales enablement team. Average deal size is $2,500. Really, within this group, as you're thinking about, who might be a good prospect for this product, it really is a company that might have probably has an IT department, maybe at least 1 or 2 people, at least 40 to 50 employees. These are not hard numbers, and if there's any opportunity out there, you can certainly come and tell us about it, and we'll evaluate it. But for the most part, the deals that we're seeing, have at least 40 to 50 employees. Okay, the average seat price is $50 to $60 and sometimes higher per month. So
Seeing it from a channel or from the direct side?
we do mostly channel. So almost all of our deals are through the channel. Okay? And so with that, we have a third quarter promo. Submit any new deal, and you can submit more than one, with at least 50 seats and receive a $5,000 bonus. You don't even know about that yet, so I just wanted to, I was going to surprise you. So look, we're aggressive. We really we have a great solution, and now we're just looking to tell the story to more people, because this is the way that IT is moving. And I would encourage you all to really take a hard look at what we're doing. This is the next frontier in the cloud. Okay, we've seen now really since 2000, the emergence of the cloud communications and hosted PBX market. This is the next frontier. We're going to see this is going to be the next 10 to 20 years. IT is going to move to the cloud. 80% of workloads are going to be run by these big data centers in the cloud. And you all are the best position to bring those kinds of clients in. Yes?
One big question.
Yeah.
Support.
Yep.
Support is going directly to the end user, or is going to the MSP? I mean, who manages it?
We manage support.
You manage support?
Yeah, but it is, and that's why, for the most part, we want somebody in-house that's an IT, that's why we're going after bigger companies, because typically what you find in bigger companies is that the basics, the desktop support is handled by the internal IT department. They're the ones that are fielding the calls, and then they're escalating to us. Those are the.
What about if they don't want to?
What's that?
What about if you want to eliminate that?
And they want to go directly to us?
You own the desktop.
Yeah, it depends. It depends, but I would say that the best and the best profile of a customer today is where they're going to do their own internal IT, or they have an outside MSP that's going to do the desktop support for them. Okay? Those are the best. So, for example, to your point, though, they may have 200 or 300 employees. In that case, they may have an internal IT, or maybe they just have an MSP outside. That's a very good scenario for us also. But there should be somebody internally that has some level of expertise in handling the desktop. Not anything else, just the desktop.
So, I wanted to clarify where your support stops. And
Yep.
their own support begins, ends. So you don't do basically like help desk. Do you do IT management, like user management, security on folders and access rights? And do you do that? Or
No.
that also?
Yeah, that typically would be done by the company.
By which company?
By our customer and/or their internal IT department.
So your support is really just the back end, making sure the systems work.
The platform is,
function-wise.
yeah, exactly.
You're doing like Azure, pretty much.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's one way of looking at it. We have the platform, but it's really focused on the desktop and the applications, whereas Azure is like the difference between, everybody always asks, well, how are you different than these other companies like Azure, for example? Azure takes, the only people that are working in Azure or in AWS or any of these big clouds, these are IT people, right? These are developers who have lots of technical capabilities. Our system And it's like they have a 1,000-piece puzzle, they throw it on the ground, and they say, now, put it together. We put the puzzle together, we have all the components, the end-to-end, and it's very simple and easy and can be operated by a very low-level tech. You do not have to have a lot of expertise to do it. So that's the difference between us and like Azure, for example.
What about clients with custom applications?
Yep.
Of some kind? Do you have only a list of your apps, or do you support any kind of app?
Any app.
that you deploy?
Any app. We just have some that are certified, we have the 1,500 that are certified today, but we are adding to that library every day and every week. And we have many custom apps, that they have, but they have to know the requirements of what they need from a CPU, RAM point of view, that kind of thing, and they provide it to us. Obviously, we're not experts at those apps, but hosting them is really not that complex.
So it sounds like an MSP is a good partner for you. Is that
MSPs are good partners for us, yes. Yep.
How does the sound come through on your platform? When using like VMware virtual desktop, when you're playing like voicemail to email and YouTube and whatnot, there's a sound quality issue. Is that the same?
It depends on your bandwidth. It depends on your bandwidth. So if your bandwidth is not adequate, it could be problematic. And what we find is that most people are using their workspaces for, to work with their apps, and if they're going to be out surfing or doing something else, then they'll, use their Chrome browser or something else that they'll go out locally on. Okay? But so that's why with our solution, it's just an app on your desktop.
How much bandwidth does your app take per user?
So to enjoy a really good user experience, it's what, about
150 KB.
150 KB per user. To have a really snappy and great experience, 150. So, in my view, it's great because that means you can just sell more bandwidth to them because of the savings that they're going to experience on this. Yes.
The test that you're talking about, how intrusive is that? Do they have to open the firewall in order to do the test, or you can just do it without?
We have two tests. One that's user generated, so an email is sent to a particular user, and they click on a link, and it doesn't matter. That's not a problem. There's another one that's generated by a network admin. That does require credentials to get back into the firewall. So the network admin one does require, but the user one does not. You do not have to have any credentials to run that discovery tool.
And what's the difference in the reports? Because you showed that report would be done after they did that.
Right. This is only with the network admin, right?
This is
Yeah.
with the PC discovery.
Right, but it's only with the network version. It's not the user version, right?
It's the user version.
The user version will do this too?
Yes.
Okay, so both, yeah. We can get those reports whether it's
Same data? I mean,
same data, yeah, yeah.
So John, this doesn't eliminate the need for a local firewall, local endpoint security. You still need to provide that.
Yep.
on the
Yep.
infrastructure. But
Yep.
On your RDP, you're providing antivirus protection.
Absolutely.
Are there any other security tools that are in that tunnel that you're providing? Is there another layer of firewall?
Well, I mean, there's a firewall, there's antivirus, there's web filtering, but only for the cloud desktop, right? It's not for anything locally. We're not disrupting or in any way imposing any rules, obligations, or replacing anything locally.
Right.
Okay?
So
It's
I think
only
that-
for the desktop and the cloud.
So I think client environment is like golf, kind of going.
You know, I have to say that we thought that would be the case at the beginning, but the reality is that it's not. It's not. It's great. If they like thin clients and they want to do that, it's fine. But what happened in the last couple of years, it's a very important point. What's happened is that thin clients, the cost of PCs and laptops have come down so significantly that if you're a company or a user, you'd rather have a full-blown PC than a thin client. So we found that the proliferation of thin clients, unless it's like a call center environment where you really want to lock down the users, is not that widespread.
If you have a hospital and everybody's working out of,
That's, again, if that environment exists, that's great. But what we don't want to do is put any hurdles to getting the sale. So we've really gotten away from that messaging around thin clients. Because, whenever you're selling hardware, if you're, that's why all the hosted communications vendors are now including phones, because it became a hurdle for them to sell these phones. So everybody now includes them, right? So we don't really, there's no hardware. And by the way, everything that we do is over the top. We don't sell bandwidth, by the way, just so we're clear. Everything is over the top. So we don't compete with anybody that's selling broadband or anything like that. You take your existing internet connectivity and it works fine. In many cases, we do VPNs to the data center where it's required.
Do you maintain visibility to the customer data, or you're isolated from the customer data?
Completely isolated from the customer data. Only the customer sees their data.
Does the customer have control over their firewall and possibly VPNs in their virtual environment?
We manage the
Yeah, we manage
cloud
that.
firewall.
We manage it. But again, if they have other reasons for, some of that stuff, they can continue to maintain that. But as it relates to their workspaces in the cloud, we manage that for them.
So you're not looking into any type of backup connection at all? Like a secondary internet source or anything at all? Because then you can't guarantee 100% connectivity.
I mean, we're not, but again, we're selling exclusively through the channel. So I would if I were you. So I think it's very important. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, it's very, very important to have a backup connection. I mean, if I'm a business owner, I certainly would want that.
What about on the data center, what type of backup connectivity is there?
We can share with you all the data center information. Okay, we'll get them
There's
everything.
redundancy, high
It's a
availability.
fantastic data center. It's Cisco, UCS, platform. What else? EMC. I mean, what's that?
High availability.
High availability. I mean, all of the appropriate levels of the best data centers, maintain is the case here. Any other questions? Okay, listen, we'll be here, happy to answer any questions or comments, and I really appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
All right, so one thing I have to say.
Wait, we have a giveaway too.
Yeah, you got a giveaway, but one thing I want to stress too is, for the people in here who aren't IT people, this may have gone, to a high level. You don't have to be the expert. All you have to do is identify an opportunity and bring it to these guys, and they will vet it out and kind of let you know if there's an opportunity there or not. So, all I would say is bring the opportunities. This is a great, new revenue portion of the business that I think everybody in here has at least one or two clients that they could recommend the service to, and there's a lot of good reasons for doing it. So.